This science fiction story begins by showing a future time when many strange types of aliens had attacked Earth. These aliens, equipped with advanced technology, were not only spreading destruction everywhere but were also taking away Earth's power resources with them, such as water, electricity, and fuels. They were transferring all these resources one by one into their spacecraft. Anyone who tried to resist them was killed. To stop these alien attacks, many military soldiers gathered together to fight back. Even though they knew they wouldn't be able to win against them, at the very least, they hoped to slow the aliens down. Below, the entire city was in chaos, and the aliens continued their operations. Meanwhile, we see several soldiers aboard a military helicopter, on their way to fight these aliens. But one soldier, named Chong, was extremely nervous. This was Chang's first mission, and he had no idea it would be this dangerous. Their captain was motivating everyone, saying that no matter what happens, they must defeat the aliens. Otherwise, all the resources on Earth would be depleted. Not only that, but humanity's population would also dwindle, and human civilization would have to start over from scratch. After hearing this, Chong no longer felt like going into battle. But once they reached the battleground, all the soldiers began disembarking one by one. There were many aliens there as well, attacking and destroying everything in their path. Following the captain's orders, the soldiers fought in the designated formation. Soon, they encountered the same hybrid alien. This alien had extremely sharp arms with which it was killing multiple soldiers at once. It even had a shield on its body that protected it from enemy attacks. Although the soldiers kept firing at it, the alien was protected by its shield. Then, it launched several rockets from its back. The explosion scattered the soldiers, and more than half of them were killed instantly. Poor Chong was so terrified by what he saw that he started running away. He didn't want to be part of a war where there was not even a % chance of survival. Now, when the captain began to realize that the aliens were overpowering them, he and his soldiers formed a circular shield formation. But perhaps even that wasn't going to help. The alien jumped right into their circle and started killing them too. As soon as the captain saw Chong running away, he called out to him. But Chong didn't listen to anyone, he just wanted to get far away from there. He left his fellow soldiers behind to die, climbed into a military jeep, and drove off. At that moment, Chong only cared about saving his own life. And truthfully, he couldn't have saved the others even if he wanted to. The brutal alien onslaught continued all around. It looked like humanity had no chance of survival anymore. In this way, several years passed. The aliens were still extracting Earth's resources using their spacecraft. They had no intention of leaving until their needs were fully satisfied. After some time, we see Chong again, now in a completely normal outfit. He had quit the army and was now living an ordinary life. Chong roamed around, collecting antique items and selling them for a good price to survive. Surprisingly, he had survived all these years without getting caught by the aliens, which showed how impressive his survival skills were. But he had no idea that these very survival skills would one day save many lives. Now, Chong had come to an abandoned area, trying to discover more ancient artifacts. The more old and rare the item he found, the more money he would earn. As he was negotiating a deal with a few men, suddenly they heard some strange sounds. These sounds weren't from any ordinary person, they came from an alien. The aliens had somehow found out that humans were present at that location. They arrived immediately to kill everyone there. Chong and the two men quickly ran to a safe spot and hid, hoping the aliens wouldn't detect them. But the aliens had already pinpointed their location, using some kind of advanced tracking technology. Chong understood this as well, this place was no longer safe. So now, he and one of his companions began to escape from there. Their third companion was brutally killed by the alien. Chong and his remaining friend kept running, but the alien was right behind them. To shake off the alien, Chong quickly threw a grenade ahead of them. Both of them hid behind a car, hoping to stay alive. But despite the grenade blast, the alien wasn't seriously harmed. Chong and his friend stayed hidden, silently waiting. It seemed like the alien might leave, but suddenly, the alien extended its sharp claws and killed the second companion too. Terrified by what he saw, Chong panicked and started running away again, screaming loudly for help. Not too far away, there was a building where several survivor soldiers were stationed. They had been observing everything from a distance, how the alien was chasing a man down. The good news was that Chong had reached that very building, trying to save himself. The alien followed him in, determined to kill him. But now, the alien was about to face those soldiers. The soldiers knew that if the alien wasn't killed, it would wipe them out too and completely compromise their hiding place. So all the remaining soldiers gathered and opened fire on the alien. Due to the continuous assault, the alien systems malfunctioned and eventually, it was destroyed. The soldiers quickly brought Chong inside to keep him safe. Their commander began asking him several questions, trying to understand how Chong had survived for so long. Soon, the commander checked the badge on Chang's uniform and realized that he had once been a member of their own unit. But during a past battle, he had abandoned his fellow soldiers and fled. The commander felt angry and betrayed, thinking that someone like Chong deserved to be punished, maybe even killed, for such a betrayal. However, after witnessing Chang's incredible survival skills, the commander was deeply impressed. He then made a decision. No matter what, they would accept Chong back into the team, and they would study and learn from the survival techniques he had used to stay alive all this time. All of them set out on their next mission, and obviously, Chong would also contribute to it in the future. The commander had placed a special chip on Chang's body to ensure that he couldn't escape. No matter where he went, his location could be tracked. Now, all the soldiers, along with Chong, headed toward a desert region. They had received intel that, right in the middle of the desert, the aliens had built a base from where they were controlling all their operations. If the soldiers could find and destroy that base, it would completely disrupt the aliens' communication system. With this vision in mind, they continued their journey. During their travels, they came across an abandoned location. Upon exploring the area, they discovered that many people had been killed there. Out of curiosity, they all wanted to go inside and investigate further. Within moments, several people surrounded the abandoned building from all sides, each armed with guns, pointing them directly at the soldiers. These were a group of gangsters who had found a way to survive under these harsh conditions. Their leader stepped forward and demanded that the soldiers drop their weapons. This gang had been tricking travelers in a similar fashion, luring them in and stealing all their valuable resources. The commander and his soldiers had no choice but to comply and lower their weapons. But one soldier discreetly summoned his drone using a remote. The drone, equipped with multiple guns, arrived swiftly. He immediately commanded it to open fire in all directions. This surprise attack was completely unexpected, and the gang members were caught completely off guard. Many of the gang members were killed, and taking advantage of the chaos, the commander gave the order to attack. The soldiers immediately picked up their guns and began to fire back. A massive gunfight broke out from both sides, resulting in several casualties. During all this, Chong found an opportunity to escape. He quickly tried to save himself and ran away as fast as he could. But unfortunately, the commander was already standing in front of him, gun pointed directly at him. The commander ordered Chong to surrender because they weren't going to let him escape this time. However, Chong had a remote with him, one that could disable the chip attached to his body. Overconfident, Chong pressed the button on the remote, but instead of removing the chip, it triggered an electric shock through his body. He was immediately hit with a jolt of electricity, collapsed to the ground, and passed out completely. Suddenly, someone approached from behind, and the commander pointed his gun at them too. But when the person removed their mask, it turned out to be a woman. She was also a military soldier who had been surviving in this harsh world on her own. Her name was Rosie, and she told the commander she wanted to work with him. She too had been surviving all this time in her own way. But she knew that until the aliens were destroyed, the threat would never truly go away. That's why, from that moment, Rosie officially joined the commander's team. Once again, the group united, and with the unconscious Chong in tow, the soldiers resumed their journey with Rosie, continuing to travel through the desert. Their main objective remained the same, to locate and destroy the alien base camp. However, they had no idea that the aliens were already a step ahead of them. The aliens were fully prepared for an attack. As they continued forward, Rosie spoke privately to the commander. She told him that in order to fight the aliens, they would need to use a bioweapon, one that was powered by plasma energy. This bioweapon had been developed using alien technology itself, and it could completely shatter the alien shields, making them extremely vulnerable. This would give them a huge advantage in the fight. The commander was genuinely pleased with Rosie's input. Her idea could be the key to finally turning the tide. As they continued moving through the desert, they came across a bridge up ahead. But standing right next to the bridge was an alien guard, stationed there to monitor who was coming and going. In this situation, it was impossible for the team to cross the bridge unnoticed. So, they all sat down to come up with a plan to distract the alien. The commander told Chong that he would have to go forward and divert the alien's attention, allowing the rest of the soldiers to use the opportunity to cross the bridge. When Chong was told this, he was clearly unwilling, understandably, since his life was going to be in serious danger. But the commander threatened to kill him if he didn't obey. Left with no choice, Chong reluctantly agreed and moved forward. As Chong tried to sneak past the alien, he spotted a truck. Instead of approaching the alien as instructed, he got into the truck and started driving away, choosing to escape both the alien and the commander. But by then, the alien had already detected the presence of humans nearby, including the commander and the rest of the team. The commander became furious at Chong for abandoning them once again. Now, the strange alien moved into attack. The commander and the soldiers immediately began to fight back, but the alien's protective shield blocked all their attacks, leaving it unharmed. The alien continued launching relentless attacks, causing chaos and destruction everywhere. But just then, Rosie handed the commander the plasma bomb, the same bioweapon she had earlier mentioned, capable of permanently breaking through the alien's shields. Without hesitation, the commander took the plasma bomb and ran straight toward the advanced alien. The alien, noticing him, started attacking and trying to kill him. At that very moment, Chong returned dramatically. Using the truck, he trapped the alien, preventing it from moving temporarily. Chong actively helped in the mission this time. He leapt forward with the plasma bomb and attached it directly to the alien's body. Within seconds, the bomb exploded, disrupting the alien's internal systems. The alien's shield was now gone, leaving it fully vulnerable. The commander wasn't going to let this opportunity slip away. Using a rocket launcher, the commander launched a massive container and dropped it directly on the alien. The alien was crushed and killed horribly under its weight. Despite all the betrayals, the commander was genuinely pleased with Chang's help during this critical moment. It meant they could now continue toward their destination without worry. All the soldiers set out once again on their mission. Rosie told the commander that they should continue using plasma bombs to defeat the aliens, because no other weapon was capable of breaking through their shields. Now, even Chong no longer had any thoughts of running away. He had realized that as long as he stayed with the soldiers, his chances of survival were higher. Soon, the soldiers started receiving signals on their map. Following those signals, they reached a location where massive doors stood in the middle of the desert. Just by looking at it, it was clear that such an advanced structure could only have been built by the aliens. It seemed this must be the main alien base, from where they were controlling everything. Using their hacking skills, the soldiers managed to open the door. Carefully and cautiously, everyone began entering the facility, ready to destroy the alien base by any means. Inside, they saw a huge tunnel. It almost looked like a completely different world had been created within. But shockingly, they hadn't encountered a single alien so far. They approached another sealed door. Upon opening it and stepping inside, they were stunned to find that the aliens had captured one of their senior team members, a high-ranking soldier who was now locked inside a capsule. Then they discovered that the signals the commander and his team had been receiving were being sent by the aliens using the brain of that captured soldier. It became clear that this entire situation was a trap planned by the aliens. They had intentionally sent out false signals using the soldiers' mind to lure the team into the base, and once they arrived, the aliens would kill them. It was a brilliant strategy to bring enemies in closer. As the group began to grasp what was happening, an alien appeared. Everyone attacked it immediately, but because of its protective shield, none of their weapons had any effect. At that moment, everyone realized that the best option was to run and hide, so they all rushed into a nearby chamber to take cover. But the commander now fully understood that they had fallen deep into a trap. The aliens had successfully lured them in, and sooner or later, they would break in and kill everyone. Fear began to set in among the group, as they knew it was only a matter of time before the aliens breached the chamber. That's when Chong came up with an idea. They needed to set off a bomb blast to create an escape route. Meanwhile, some aliens had already reached the door and were trying to break it down. Chong was joined by another soldier named John, who started preparing the explosives. But they needed a bit of time to complete the setup. To buy them that time, the commander stepped in and began distracting the aliens, drawing their attention by firing from the opposite direction. Thanks to the distraction, they were able to successfully set off the bomb and create a new exit route out of the large chamber. All the soldiers began heading back toward their transport van. However, Rosie was heartbroken, believing that the commander had sacrificed his life to save the rest of them. Everyone assumed he had perished. But then Chong noticed the commander running out of the chamber, still alive, though several aliens were chasing him. Chong immediately jumped in to help and began firing at the aliens to cover the commander's escape. At last, the commander reached the vehicle and got inside. They drove off at full speed, leaving the aliens far behind. During the escape, they discovered that John had been shot in the crossfire. He was severely wounded and could no longer walk. Everyone did their best to tend to him, but despite all efforts, he didn't survive. The commander was filled with rage after John's death. At that point, he made a firm decision: no matter what, he would wipe out the alien species completely. Meanwhile, Rosie found something in the body of one of the dead aliens, crystals embedded in its remains. These were none other than plasma crystals, the very material used to generate the aliens' powerful shields. Rosie immediately began working on building a massive plasma bomb using those same crystals, one powerful enough to destroy the entire alien base. Now, the team was focused entirely on this new plan, figuring out their next move. The very next day, they created a foolproof plan to destroy the alien base. The commander divided his force into two teams. The first team was to infiltrate the core of the alien base and rescue the trapped soldiers, while the second team would stay outside and launch a diversionary attack to draw the aliens' attention. When Chong, Rosie, and the commander made it inside the base, the commander observed through a duct that there wasn't just a small group of aliens, but an entire alien army stationed inside. It became clear that defeating them head-on would be impossible. However, the second team outside had no idea about this. Sticking to the original plan, they began their assault on the alien base. Just then, a drone prepared to fire the plasma cannon, but unfortunately, one of the aliens spotted it. They immediately fired on the drone, destroying it. That meant their most critical weapon, and part of the plan, was now useless. Inside, Chong, Rosie, and the commander were also attacked by multiple aliens who were becoming more and more aggressive and uncontrollable. They couldn't figure out how to kill them effectively now that the plasma cannon was gone. At that moment, things looked truly hopeless. But the commander decided to send Chong and Rosie away through another exit, sealing the chamber behind them. He intended to fight the aliens alone, giving them a chance to survive. Chong shouted at the door, begging the commander to open it. But by then, the alien had already appeared in front of the commander. Without fear, the commander pulled out a grenade and detonated it inside the chamber. The explosion killed both the alien and himself, sacrificing his life to give the others a chance to escape. Chong and Rosie managed to make it out and reached the battlefield, where an enormous alien army was unleashing destruction. Nearly all of their soldier team had been wiped out. But then, Chong spotted the plasma cannon. It was still intact. He immediately formed a plan with Rosie. Rosie would create a distraction, drawing the aliens' attention, while Chong would retrieve the plasma cannon. As planned, Rosie began running and shouting, drawing several aliens toward her. It was obvious that she wouldn't be able to hold them off for long. Meanwhile, Chong rushed to the cannon's location, grabbed it, and then started yelling loudly to lure all the aliens toward himself. All the remaining aliens began rushing toward Chong to attack him. But they had no idea that within seconds, they were about to be completely obliterated. Standing tall like a true hero, Chong waited calmly, and just as the aliens charged at him, he activated the plasma cannon. In the very next moment, powerful shockwaves burst out in all directions, completely disintegrating the aliens into dust. Every single alien on the battlefield was wiped out in an instant. Moments later, we see that both Chong and Rosie survived unharmed, breathing a huge sigh of relief. But just when they thought the battle was over, they looked up at the sky, and saw an enormous alien spaceship descending. A massive alien army had now arrived on Earth. No one knew what would happen next. Would humanity be wiped out completely, or would they rise and fight back to reclaim their planet? It was all a mystery. And with that, our story comes to an end.